the carrier side of the business. Most contact centers, when they're looking at software, they're just looking at software. They don't realize this big piece that's behind the scenes that actually is the motor of the car, right? So that carrier network is different. So a lot of contact centers, if they have an issue, maybe calls are garbled or they're getting a lot of, dead air calls, they put in a ticket. Their software is going to go to put in a ticket with their carrier. And then 2 days later, you maybe hear back. Well, we're super nimble because we have a carrier backbone. So we could fix the problem right there.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by Write For Me, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here today with Michael McGuire, owner and Chief Revenue Officer at NobelBiz. Michael, how are you today?
Doing well. Thanks for the invite. And no better way to kick off a Monday than with you.
Aw, I'm honored. I appreciate you spending some time with us on Business Ninjas. Please tell us a bit about yourself and a bit about NobelBiz.
Sure. Myself, I guess I kind of consider myself a contact center veteran. So started in the industry when I was 16 years old. Part-time job, walked into a call center. My dad actually told me it was like an operator job, back in the day when you used to have operators. And I walk in and it's boiler room 1000. People are up and hands are going, and it was a fundraising call center. And so that's where I got my start. Kind of was in my blood, I guess. We were speaking earlier and told you I moved 22 different schools before I went to high school. So not knowing it, I was a natural salesperson on the phones. And so started there, opened my first site when I was 19, and just been in the industry. I've opened 17 domestic contact centers. I fixed probably more than that. I had a call center in the Philippines that I opened. And so I did all that before I moved to the tech side of the business in 2020, right after COVID. And that's where I'm at today, Chief Revenue Officer at NobelBiz. And, I love living life.
Excellent. When did you start NobelBiz, or when did the company start?
NobelBiz has been in industry for 29 years. And so I was it really DNA comes from being a carrier in the contact center space. Okay. Originally it started as a calling card company. So if you remember back in the day, everybody had the calling cards. Built its kind of international, footprint of being able to offer really good carrier services, and moved into the contact center because contact centers is different. If you don't understand that it's a lot of short duration, a lot of other types of carrier type network stuff that you need in order to keep the call centers going. About 10, 15 years ago, we went into the software side of the business. We said, hey, we're servicing thousands of customers with their carrier services. Why not have some solutions that they ask us for all the time to be able to utilize? And so we created an omnichannel platform for our contact centers agents to be able to handle any type of communications.
I am old enough to remember calling cards. I spent a fair bit of time on the road in the late 80s and early 90s. It was the only lifeline. Our kids don't realize there weren't smartphones back in the day. We had carrier pigeons and things like that.
And how expensive, right? I mean, you look at telecom costs today compared to what it was when you were buying calling cards and 3 cents, 5 cents a minute. People don't realize with their unlimited packages, the just ability to communicate nowadays is completely different than it used to be.
What's NobelBiz's main thrust at the moment? What's the main service you're providing your clients?
I try to tell people we're a partner for your contact center. And so we can help with, even if it's just, I want to be able to lower my telecom bill. all the way to I need to be able to use a full omni-channel suite to use SMS, email, social media, so on and so forth. So we're purposely built for contact centers. Now, contact centers can mean a lot of different things. So most people, when they think of a contact center, maybe they're thinking of a big customer service center in, the Philippines or somewhere else. Contact centers are you interact with them every day. You have collections contact centers, you have sales contact centers, you have just the mom and pop businesses that have to utilize contact centers to do their job. So we pride ourselves as what we call the promise keepers of the industry. And so as somebody that managed contact centers for 30 years, I've really tried to bring some of that to a technology company to say, hey, this is really what they need you for, and this is what you need to do in order to service them the best.
Hey, your insights have to be 30 years of doing it. Your insights have to be invaluable. You got to be answering questions before they get asked at that point.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I like to sit down and actually talk like real shop. They're not used to that with a salesperson to be able to say, hey, let's really talk about your turnover. Let's talk about your ROIs. Let's talk about what you really don't need to buy in your next technology and what you should be looking at for, even if it's with me or somebody else, right? And that's refreshing. I was that guy in the other seat for 30 years. I was the one vetting technology, if it's dialers or whatever. And so now I just always say, man, what would I wanted to talk? What did I want to know during those scenarios that would have made me make a better decision? And so I just try to fill those gaps. So those things that I would say, hey, you know what? Should I be signing a 3-year contract right now when rates are going down? Well, I come to the company. I'm like, guys, if we don't do our job, they should have an option to fire us. So those are some scenarios in the contact center space and where we try to be a little different and fill some of those needs.
Obviously, contact center is a broad term, especially in 2025. Is there an industry, a size of company, inbound versus outbound? Is there an ideal customer for you in there?
We do quite a bit of stuff in what you consider BPO position. And a BPO, you think about it, it's contact center as a service, really, right? So they're bringing on all diverse type of clients. Sure. They may have a sales client. They may have a collections client. They may have a web chat. You're just handling the web chat for this client. So if you're servicing that industry, you got to be flexible. Because if I'm a user of your technology, I have a different type of customer walking in the door every day. So what that's done is that's able to make us build really good solutions for a number of verticals. So let's use an example of collections. I know that space really well. I've ran collection centers. So it was natural for us to be able to have tools to help companies collect money. I know people look at it and they're like, I don't want collections calling me, but it's kind of the backbone of what we do. If we don't collect money, then there's going to be less money to borrow for everybody else. And so that's one good example. We also do stuff in lead generation. You may go on a website and you want to be able to shop car insurance, a mortgage, whatever. Well, those are going to go to a contact center, right? They're going to qualify you. They're going to get you the best rates possible by shopping you through a number of different vendors. Saves you time, saves you a lot of work. But those are a couple of the examples that we service. And we just try to be flexible. We really want a tool that will allow your business to be able to generate either more revenue for your company or be able to help your enterprise be able to effectively create a good customer experience for their customers.
Gotcha. And what's the biggest differentiator for you? What makes NobelBiz stand out?
Well, I think the carrier side of the business, most contact centers, when they're looking at software, they're just looking at software. They don't realize this big piece that's behind the scenes that actually is the motor of the engine or of the car, right? So that carrier network is different. So a lot of contact centers, if they have an issue, maybe calls are garbled or they're getting a lot of, dead air calls, They put in a ticket. Their software is going to go to put in a ticket with their carrier. And then 2 days later, you maybe hear back. Well, we're super nimble because we have a carrier backbone. So we could fix the problem right then. Maybe you have an issue if you're an outbound call center with your calls getting labeled as spam likely, but you're legit. You are, you've customers signed up to talk to you. You're calling them. Now it says spam likely. That does two things to your business. Number one, they're not going to pick up the phone. So that hurts you in that aspect. Number two, if they do pick up the phone, now they branded your business as a negative, reputation. So we help companies with being able to get their calls through without those spam likely labels. So that carrier side of the business, I think, is very valuable. And then at the end of the day, it gives you one neck to choke. So something happens, boom, you're right on it. You can reach out to a team that knows your business and also won't put you through all these hurdles just to fix your problems.
Hey, as a consumer being on the receiving end of calls, it's frustrating when something like a cheap headset is the problem. I can hear everybody else in their boiler room, or they're garbling and not hearing me, or vice versa. It's a waste of everybody's time. Some very expensive, well-implemented system ruined by a $10 headset kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
I think the other thing is when you're looking at a contact center, especially in the age of AI, right? Where at the end of the day, companies realize now that customer experience has a lifelong value, right? Because why? We have more choices now of companies that we want to spend our money with than ever before.
Sure.
Right? Think about it. AT&T was big. You kind of had them or somebody else. Your electricity company, you had them or somebody else. Nowadays, there's multiple choices. So, even just simple things as like my kid's a big gamer. If Xbox doesn't do a good job, he can go to PlayStation. He can go to Nintendo. Like, those options are there to where it's almost demanding consumers to get a good experience. So kind of like the cheap headset you said, if that experience is terrible, then you can go somewhere else quickly nowadays. No contracts. I mean, it's so much easier to fire one person and hire a new one than I think it's hypersensitive on how do I create the best environment? Maybe with or without a human. It may be with or without the ability to start the conversation via web chat. Or it may be, I don't want to go through all your IVR hoops and da-da-da. I want to talk to a real person. So that's kind of what I think the real, burning issue now is how do we give somebody the best customer experience to where we can keep that customer's loyalty.
Are most of the call centers you work with on or offshore these days?
A little bit of both. We do specialize with a lot of U.S. Based call centers, but we have clients that are in Morocco, French speaking. We have them in the Philippines, India, all over the place. So I would say it's very diverse, and it really depends on that certain business. And there's a lot of U.S. companies that are in the call center space that now also have call centers in the Philippines, call centers in India. And I'm flying to Florida next week to meet with a customer. And it's very unique because this customer is in a huge outside sales company.
Okay.
But what they realize is they need these contact centers positioned in certain areas to be able to service a lot of their outside sales. So, contact centers is funny because most people growing up would assume this mega center with these thousands of agents that you're calling into when your cell phone or your airlines gets canceled. But, there's a lot of contact centers that are very niche in certain markets that you probably deal with every day. You don't even realize it's a contact center.
Sure. Gotcha. Let's switch gears for a minute.
Sure.
I'm assuming that the pandemic was actually a boom time for your industry because it had to be. Is that the case? Tell me about the challenges and opportunities of growing NobelBiz through the pandemic?
I would say boom in areas, but in the contact center industry was very challenging. And here's why. Most contact centers up to 2020 still had a big footprint of brick and mortar,
Sure.
right? You go into your contact center, you put on your headset and you work. COVID hits. Now all these contact centers are scrambling to, number one, can my technology even allow my agent to log in from home? Number two, what's the security restrictions now that I'm giving up by having my agent work in their house? Number three, can my agents, do they even know technology enough to be able to carve out an office in their house and be able to pull that off? So all this happened at one time. And I was actually working with a contact center that is in the political space. Guess what 2020 was? It was a political year. It was a presidential year. So they're adding 40 to 50 new agents a week. They're growing gangbusters. And now, boom, we got to send 6 call centers with 200 people each, all home overnight. Little things like, where do I get headsets? Little things that were big issues. How do I coach you? How do I communicate? Before I just say, hey, turn off your headset, Andrew, let's go talk.
Yep.
You'd be like, okay, cool. Now I'm like using Zoom like we are today, or I'm using another platform. So there was challenges during that, but I think what it did is it created the environment that now we can do anything anywhere. And long as I have the management capabilities and I can, I can learn how to coach and develop my people still, even though they're not in my physical building, it allows you to expand your skill sets throughout the entire US versus Atlanta or Jacksonville, wherever your call center is. So now when I recruited for those contact centers, or in the tech space, we allow technology that allows you to be at home. It's a boom. That's where your boom comes from, because now I can recruit anywhere. I can recruit anyone that has a PC, an internet connection, and a headset, and they can use the tech and do their job.
I assume oversight in the call center world has become so much easier with the note taker bots and AI. It can literally assess performance and behavior instantaneously as soon as the call is done, as opposed to having to review call logs like the old days. Tell me about the efficiencies that AI has helped create for you.
So AI, I consider AI falls in like 3 buckets. Where I really see it succeeding, you kind of highlighted your QA process. Right? Before, you'd have agents that would manually listen to calls, grade them, right? Unless you had tons of agents, you're only listening to like 10% of the calls. Well, QA now can be instant, right? They're listening live. The AI is giving feedback immediately based on what you want to see. I mean, even coaching, I can say, what are the top 5 things I should coach Andrew on? It already knows. Boom. I got these 5 things because now it's listening to Andrew's calls. Now, agent assist is also a big area. What if Andrew's like consistently crushing it, consistently hitting his KPIs? Now I can say, this is what Andrew's saying. This is what Andrew's doing. I can assist that agent to take the top agent's information and give it to him. Now, the other area of opportunity, I think, outside of QA is creating these IVRs, either inbound or outbound, that actually is a lot more pleasant to deal with, right? So if I can just say, hey, hey, let me talk to Andrew. Oh, he's not available. When's the best time to call? Oh, he'll be back tomorrow at 2:00. So much better than press 1, press 2, so that large language model that has created this, more robust AI, I guess, agent or virtual agent, I think it's that next level that you're going to see a lot more people tapping into. And then finally, I think the after call, anything after call has been automated, right? So where these agents were having to, like you said, put in notes or maybe send an SMS, or they have to send out an email. All that stuff's automated today, where it could even pick up on a keyword. If I could say, thanks, John, I'll call you tomorrow at 2 o'clock. It just sends it, schedules at 2 o'clock, and away I go. So I've eliminated a lot of those other actions that have to happen.
Is that the future of call centers in your world, or are you guys still, committed to humans answering phones?
You got to have both. So, the challenge with eliminating humans is a lot of people don't want to deal with AI still. I mean, so you got to look at the actual clientele.
Of course.
Until people stop going supervisor, prep thing 1 or 6 in the IVR, that just tells you the demand is still there. They want to deal with the human. They want to deal with, somebody they can talk to. They want the emotion. Maybe they just want to vent a little bit. And you got to have some empathy. So I think that's it. Now, the area that I do see AI helping humans is stopping a lot of that repetitive tasks that a human had to do. They don't want to do that. You don't want to go click buttons, check somebody's account balance. Here's what it is. So automate all those things that maybe you have humans doing today that that is a thankless job. And then allow the humans to actually work on the more in depth where they feel like they have a better quality of life. And, the human on the other end feels like they're actually getting a better service. So I think it's not AI eliminating humans. I think it's humans working with AI to have a better product.
Oh, it has to. Look, AI is just a tool, right? I have a client who says, and I've said this on many podcasts, if you don't know what excellence looks like, AI is not going to give it to you. We still need to, implement it with intelligence and artistry and hard work. But it has to level the playing field on that first touch for businesses. Again, as a consumer, there's a lot of companies who decided that it's cheaper to outsource, right? I'm going to have a call center in the Philippines. If I have to repeat myself over and over and climb to a manager and a supervisor to get resolution, I'm not a happy customer. And that was an expensive half an hour or an hour. So the cost, benefit starts to go away quickly. Whereas AI understands what I'm saying quickly, even if it is just to get to a supervisor or a person, but it happens quickly. And I don't have to sit there listening to 28 prompts and choosing.
Yeah, I think the challenge is AI, can it get cost effective enough that it makes sense to just use AI versus outsourcing? Because now the cost of AI is still more expensive than what you would pay that overseas agent. So that's where the challenge is do I outsource to somebody, overseas, or do I pay the higher price for AI? And I still have a challenge with people wanting to deal with the bot. So, obviously cost will keep coming down, right? On the AI side, as more companies get involved, as these large language models are changing, as we speak, there's other people offering them. And so I have started seeing the cost coming down. That continues to happen, and the AI continues to get better. Then I think you got a winning formula. I think the other area, though, with the humans are going to be important, is especially US based agents that people just want to be able to talk to a human, right? Think about it. You're at the airport, your flight just gets canceled. Your app doesn't work because there's no flight for you to be able to pick. And the line is down and around. You feel helpless. You feel stuck. You got to go. Maybe you got this important thing happening. Sometimes just hearing that person saying, listen, this is all the options we got. We'll do whatever you want us to do, but this is what we got. It makes a world of difference versus, you can't get no help, where you feel helpless, or the AI is just saying, sorry, no flights available. Good luck. Come back tomorrow. So I think that piece is where the human's super important.
Sure. Heard. Tell me what role content has played in the growth of NobelBiz. How are you telling your story through the years?
Yeah. So when I came most people knew NobelBiz as, a carrier if they even, heard from them. So one area that I really tried to do is try to give back content to the industry, especially when it comes around things that are crucial to their business. Let's use compliance for an example. If you're in the contact center space, especially if you do anything outbound, lead generation, sales, collections, if you're not understanding compliance down to the very, intimate level, you get shut down tomorrow.
Oh, sure.
So, finding the smartest, brightest minds in the compliance space, doing webinars, giving out free information, doing LinkedIn live events, just valuable. It's free, it's valuable information that can really allow this, contact center to not only stay in business, but also come to you as kind of that value of truth, right?
Sure.
And that's in a lot of, you got compliance, you also have performance. You may have, just, trying to network with people at shows. So kind of giving back, I think, is important in the content or in the content space. How do I, try to get the smartest guests on? How do I share? Kind of like what you guys do. How do we put on different podcasts and webinars of maybe some of the old veterans in the space, how they got to where they're at, today. So those are some of the tactics we use, but the goal is to just share, right? There's no reason to bottle up all the information. There's nothing secretive that you have. Then why just share it? Help people, help them, be able to tap into a network that is not only just there to be able to offer them solutions, but you may just pick up a piece of information off one of our white papers or webinars that, can save you from getting your business shut down.
Oh, here. I think there's always a karmic reward to putting positive energy into your industry and not trying to, have a corner on the entire market and be the brain trust of the industry so nobody else can compete. I think that's a lose-lose scenario across the board. All right. Look down the road a year from now. What are some things you'd like to be celebrating personally and professionally?
Well, personally, I do these crazy things called Ironman triathlons, right? So if you don't know what a full Ironman is, it's a 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike ride, 26.2 mile run. So I did that in November, and then I did a half, which is half of that in May. So on the 19th, I think it is, I got another half this month coming up. And probably not going to do a full, but I do have another half scheduled at the end of the year that love to try to qualify for what they call Worlds. So Worlds is basically the creme de la creme. You probably heard of it in full Ironman. It's like Kona. You hear people that talk about Kona or the NBC special when they used to run it on Kona. So personally, I think that's important. Professionally, I'm really just surrounding myself right now with great talent, duplicating myself onto new people that are looking to do what I'm doing now. So we're in hyper growth mode. Professionally looking to grow our talent within our company and really, bring on new exciting people that want to learn this industry, almost like when I was growing contact centers. So I love giving back in that way, duplicating myself, learning from others, and just watching a team flourish, right? To where, I have 3 or 4 or 5, 6 other guys that are just as good or better than me in what I do. That's an amazing time for me. So professionally, I just want to keep growing that, keep doing what we're doing at NobelBiz to help the contact center space and be the promise keepers of the industry.
Excellent. Hey, something you and I have spoken about before, your personal goal. It's remarkable to me that people closer to our age are the people who excel in triathlons because it really is mind over matter at the end of the day. You'd think, oh, a 25-year-old has the physical wherewithal to dominate the sport, but they don't have the mental legs to get it done. Those walls that you hit in that, I'm sorry, the numbers you rattle off are bonkers. That's just something That's not even a goal of mine. Any
Right.
one component of those three, but let alone back to back to back. So, it's inspiring for us middle-aged folks out there to realize that we do have some powers that the young don't necessarily know about at the end of the day when it comes to things like swimming 2.5 miles, biking 100 some odd, and then running a marathon after that. So
It's crazy because it's the only sport I know that some of the most competitive age groups are, late 30s, mid 40s, right? Compared to, 18 to 25, like, professional sports normally are. And you nailed it there because of the endurance element and the mental element of the sport is some of us old dogs can endure, right? We've had the challenges, we've faced the adversity that life throws at you, and so you've learned to push through that and then see success on the other side, so you don't quit. So that's one thing I love about the sport is every time I do one, I said I'll never do another one, always. And I start making deals with myself, right? Hey, just get to the next corner and then you can slow down or quit. Or just get off the bike, see how you're going to feel on the run. If you want to quit, then, okay. And then I see my family. You're not going to quit in front of your family. What are you doing? And it's like these deals that you make. But what's interesting is when you cross that finish line and you've seen what you overcome, not only during that day, but all the training it took to get to that finish line is really where the sacrifice comes in, right? 5 a.m.s, 9 to 10 o'clock at night, still working a full day, still traveling for sales, still having 4 kids and 2 grandkids. That endurance of the training of life, the race itself is kind of a formality, right? Like, you already know you've put it in, you put all the money in the bank. Now you're just making your withdrawal. So that when you hit that finish line, there's nothing else like it. Emotional, you cry, some people they just don't know what to do. And you almost get a depression afterwards because you're like, now what am I going to do? What do you do now? You spent 3-4 hours a day, you spent all this time juggling, and then you turn around and you're like, I better sign up for another one.
yeah, I'm going to say it's hard to find a loftier goal than an Ironman triathlon.
Right.
And it might be dangerous to find a goal beyond that. Hey, please tell us what NobelBiz URL is, where we can find you, and what social media outlets you use as well.
Yeah. So kind of the term that I coined is hashtag follow the dragon. We do a lot on LinkedIn. You can either look myself up, look up nobelbiz.com. So we do a lot of stuff on LinkedIn. We do 22 shows a year. So if you're in the industry, we probably passed you at some point at a show, but it's easy to remember us. It's the only tech company with a dragon. And so our logo is a dragon. We love it. It's something that we embrace. Dragons are big, strong, and powerful. And so that's why we kind of say follow the dragon. But reach out to us. Anything, even if it's as simple as you want to try to save money on your carriers, your LD, then talk to us.
Please just read off your URL for us too.
www.nobelbiz.com.
And that's NOBEL, ladies and gentlemen, like the Peace Prize.
NobelBiz. Yep.
NobelBiz. Michael McGuire, thank you for spending some time with us on Business Ninjas. All the best to you and yours and your lofty goals, both personally and professionally, and continued success at NobelBiz.
Awesome. Thanks, Andrew.
My pleasure. Be well.